Manifestation is common sense. That's the thesis, that's the video, that is the whole point. Now, you're going to come across people who try and make manifestation sound like it's something it's not. They'll make it sound like it's complicated, mysterious, overly technical. Maybe like you need 17 methods, a candle, a mirror, guided meditations, and a man with sunglasses standing in front of a whiteboard telling you how to think. And respectfully, step away from the whiteboard. And I say that because you have been manifesting since you opened your eyes, since you were the baby version of you. You've been assuming things, expecting things, fearing things, and watching those assumptions shape your experience since before you even knew the word manifestation existed. And this is why I say manifestation is common sense. Because think about the negative things you've created before. Were you studying them? Were you watching thousands of videos, looking up every technique known to mankind? Were you sitting there trying to figure out whether you needed the ladder method, the scripting method, the whisper method, the 369 damn she fine method? Imaginary points for anyone who got that reference. But the answer is no. You probably had one anxious thought, entertained it for a little bit, gave it meaning, and then before you knew it, there it was. And that's not because you performed the technique perfectly. That's because your mind accepted something as possible, likely, natural, or true. So, my question to you is if you can do that with things that you don't want, why would it suddenly become rocket science when it comes to things you actually do want? And at the most basic level, manifestation is this: stop thinking negative shit. That's it. And I know that almost sounds too simple, but sometimes simple is the point. Don't think poorly of yourself. Don't assume the worst of every situation. Don't wake up and immediately start auditioning for the role of person whose life is falling apart. Or sit there imagining yourself being rejected, broke, unwanted, abandoned, and then act shocked when your nervous system and your reality start responding to that very story. Because when you think about it, manifestation aside, in what reality is it productive to think terrible things about yourself? It's not. And that's common sense. I mean, there's no reality where you would ever think, yeah, I'm going to talk negatively about myself and my perceived circumstances and expect everything to be okay and expect to feel good every day, you know? And if you want to get more intentional, start choosing better thoughts. If you want to go deeper, then think from the future you want. And even a little bit more advanced, start identifying as the version of yourself who already has the thing. But the bare minimum is very obvious. Stop feeding the reality you don't want. If you want a better job, for example, what is the next positive thought? Is it, oh, I hate my job? No. It's, I have a better job. I'm paid well. I'm valued at work. Better opportunities are already opening for me. You don't need to become poetic with it or make it weird. The point is, you want the job. So start thinking from the version of yourself who already has the job. If you want a new car, same thing. You say, I have a new car, or it feels so good to drive my new car. That's it. That is the direction. And I know people think that relationships are more complex, but they're not. It's literally all the same. If you want a relationship, you don't sit there, panic, and think, when are they coming? Do they want me? Is it working? Did I affirm enough? Did I detach correctly? No, you think from having it. You think, I am loved, I am chosen, my relationship is stable. And again, this is common sense. You think from the reality you want instead of constantly narrating the reality you don't want. You don't sit in negativity. And even though I'm saying it's common sense, I'm not saying abandon techniques. You can still use techniques. And I don't think they're bad. I think techniques can be helpful. I use them. A lot of people use them. But if you're just starting out, or if you feel overwhelmed with affirming and manifestation, I'm saying the very first place to start is using common sense, as in, is it beneficial to you to think negative of yourself? No, it's not. And I think when people are first starting out with manifesting, it's really easy to get caught up in all of the techniques because there are a lot of them. And I feel like there's a new technique every single day. And again, there's nothing wrong with using them. But when you're first starting out, instead of trying to determine what the best technique is and researching all of them, a lot of times it's good to just use common sense. And it could just be as simple as waking up every morning and simply saying, today is going to be a great day. That's it. And again, that's common sense because why would you wake up and think, oh God, today's gonna be shit? You wouldn't do that. I mean, I hope you wouldn't do that. And even for those of us who have been affirming and manifesting consistently, I think it's really easy to fall into the impatience trap where sometimes you're just so eager and so desperate for a result and an outcome that you start researching new methods. Like maybe the telephone method will work. Maybe I should start scripting. Maybe I should lock myself in a room and just say the same affirmation 10,000 times. When in reality, sometimes you just need to take a breath and get back to the fact that it's all common sense and we've been doing this since we were kids. Granted, it was unconscious at that time, but we have been doing this forever. And I think sometimes we just need a reset, maybe, and think, okay, in this situation, what is the most common sense thing to do? If my SP isn't texting me, am I going to sit here and spiral and panic? No. I'm going to say, of course they're texting me. Why wouldn't they? They love me, and go on with my day. Because in no reality is it beneficial to you to sit in the negativity. So the next time you find yourself maybe going down a rabbit hole of different techniques, just take a second and think, okay, what is the simplest, most common sense approach to this? And go with that. And I can guarantee if you ask yourself that question, it's not going to be, well, logically, I should go watch 50 more videos on this topic. It's going to be, think about the situation in a positive manner. And that's quite literally all you have to do. Why? Because manifestation is common sense. So make sure to flex that common sense muscle the next time you find yourself wondering the best way to go about manifesting, because it really is that simple. Thank you for watching. And as always, if you ever have a topic that you would like me to talk about, feel free to throw that in the comment section, and I would be more than happy to speak on it. But until next time, remember, no one has more control over your reality than you. Bye.